Jim, let's see where you're going with this. Jim explains why short-term COVID worries are unlikely to derail stocks long-term. Gonna have to call bullshit on you, Jim. A little bit here. Playing Conquest, COVID. It would be pestilence by any other standard in the bunny farm. What is it? The maple tree blight, I suppose, is what it is. Look, COVID is a standard. It's CDC on protocols and standards for systems. There's an up and there's an anti-up type of situation to this, right? And I could get you to the game board and 8 pieces, 4 pieces, 2 pieces, 1 pieces, whatever. There's one way to explain it. This would be that it's going to have an up, anti-up. It's going to have situations. Now, for me, personally, when you look at any company and you say, well, let's quantify this as something different. It's this worries, right? Or this in itself, COVID, short term, there really is no such thing, okay? And so let's look at some companies that have failed. I mean, as a total whole, the entity that could be idealized here, because math, inside of the situation, you have to look at these situations and let's run the system on any petri dish, right? So we got people marking stuff with pens, we got stuff with all kinds of situational shit whip inside of here. And I'll give you the long term. I think more than comprehensively in the science, we're pretty comprehensive. We're good about this. We can at least catch those plays. We can at least say, hey, over there, it doesn't look right, right? It doesn't seem right, doesn't feel right, doesn't act right for whatever standard that kind of comes into it. Now for me, again, I'm out of the stone mill again, because for me, I would see a very small thing that would start to be, whoa, that is not right on terms of what this starts to do. I mean, I'm on an upward trend inside here, and this thing starts leveling off when the numbers start to correlate through. So you would go about adjusting those things, right? And let's look at the company where I left. It's probably going to do fine. It'll keep going. It did after I left the first time. It's all the other ones, they've done fine on the thing. And to be fair, I like to play Conquest. I really do. I like to get out there and break records. I like to go out there and smash every single bunny that's on the board, whether it be a person at this point in time, it never used to be, or bunnies running around on the ground, projects that need to be done, tasks that have to be done, systems like that. Man, I want them. And that makes some other problems. And in a lot of ways, that doesn't necessarily derail the situation, but it certainly acts like a railgun a lot of times. In terms of what these things are, this whole thing is blockchained. I really can't be dealing with, when I'm not the Conquest for what this is, by mathematical definition. You know what I mean? It'd be the best. It would be at whoever is going to be set inside of the zenith, whether it be a disease on the timeline and tables, people spitting on the floor because they chew, people, asked to pick up cigarette butts and stuff like that. Hey, you don't know where it comes from, but that's a bunny right there. And if you're smart about it, you'd see that number, right? And those things can radically derail the train. And it's something you got to understand inside here. It's something that needs to be done, and somebody says, well, that's not what we do. That's absolutely what you do. You are a governmental entity, a syndicate, or a function of regular banana-eating gorillas like the rest of us inside of there. And it's something you have to pay attention to, because in the end of it, remember, this isn't the zenith. This is just the margins of the zenith in terms of how it stabilizes across the board. That is the truth mathematically. You can't argue with that number. It's Hubble's 45, dealing with black holes in the photon ring of time dilation and the Andromeda paradox. Are the aliens here, or are they coming? Or are they not here? I mean, somebody's perspective this far away from the angle on a thing, or this far on the angle of the thing to the distance and the trajectory on those aspects, definitely can affect when somebody says something, right? It's got to be a monkery around here. Shangri-La, you go up there to talk to the Dalai Lama for a little bit just to watch a monkery. Eat rice, don't have anything, don't say anything, don't do anything, because a lot of that freedom starts to come around to be a disease at some point in times. You know, that's why I kind of quit doing those things. I don't like to associate on breaks short of work. You know, I need to know what numbers I got to do. I got to know when those things are done, and realistically, that's the only time I need a break. I've done the math. I've seen the drop off after breaks. I've seen the drop off after lunch breaks. I've seen the drop off after those things. And I'm not asking somebody else to determine those contract lines for me anymore. You know what I mean? It's one of those things that can seriously derail my system on the long term. So it's something you have to understand. So let's see what you got to say, Joe.
My mission is simple: to make you money. I'm here to level the playing field for all investors. There's always a bull market somewhere, and I promise to help you find it. Bad money starts now.
It's all topology in there.
Hey, I'm Kramer.
Too many balls, it becomes a bear.
Welcome to Kramer.
Too many bears, it's a bunch of balls.
I'm just trying to make you some money. My job, not just to entertain you, but to educate, teach you. So call me at 1-800-743-67.
We're all just trying to make money, yeah?
Jim Kramer. Let's call it the Great American Snag.
I love the education parts,
yeah,
but
snag. It's that moment where we realize
it's
that we're
a
not
very
gonna have
biased
20 style boom.
education.
Because a third of the country refuses to get vaccinated, and their intransigence is snagging the whole darn
Why?
economy.
Because I think old people need to die. No offense. Let's keep looking at this. Let's look at the retirement. Let's look at pension. Let's look at these things. You know, people want to save people, but they don't understand death well enough to look at it. And it's because death is zeros and ones. It's a war on topology on systems and timelines. Time over here about the battlefield, who's the big players, the tanks, you know, what's the famine numbers for protracted warfare. And it's like,
4 years. Now it's getting something called the mumps that I actually
you know, when you get out here to the eagle, the foresight, the lion of pride, the bull that is strength and strength.
The goal was to keep the lights on.
And any mask wearer that plays any game inside of there plays the game. We were going to say topology and roll for stamina on multi-matrices of different variables of that form, that calculus. You're going to be a monster.
We settled down to quiet lives with outdoor activities. That was our savior, right? Campers, boats, barbecues. Then boom!
I remember sitting there watching the river yesterday, and it's like, it's Thursday. I got people floating down the river. How? You know, the rest of us have to work 5 days a week at least just to make odds end. Ends odd.
94 to 95% efficacy.
You know, hey, Jim, I don't mind those things. I think that's why we were given weekends, right? That's why we were given those things. It's like, you know the number. If you don't give enough of it, they're going to snap, and then that hurts the business. Because you're playing the top end.
Yes, our patriotic duty.
You know, let's look at the board on the map for what's going on and be serious about what a war is, what a fucking front is, what a standard is around here for these little things that we can't see, or on the macro or the micro, this petri dish. Now, obviously, it's enough of a problem to come up that derailed regular science. Didn't it? Well, we like to call something else, but that's exactly what it is.
Most businesses have doctors. Their doctors tell them to get the vaccine. The government tries to entice you to take it too. But what was once begged for,
which was once a cold that did a job and served a purpose. Good.
A large swath of the country wants to live
that is scary as shit.
From COVID. Now cases are surging again. It's taking a toll on the economy. How does the snag manifest itself? Well, first, the people who buy risk-free treasuries, the treasury bonds, they're now in overdrive because they're convinced we're on the verge of another lockdown. Hey, they see the mask coming back.
Hey, you can call it whatever you want for the psychologist you'd like to sit in this room, but you know damn well you can't give me the pill, you can't arrest me for standards, and when it comes to the lodge meeting, what happens given the math?
I'm convinced these worries about the Delta variant are what's driving long-term interest rates to such low levels.
I mean, I wish I could tell you it's something different. But the topology's all been the same. Time has changed. It's systemed over, and it derailed regular Pythagorean theory into all this. It derailed the work of getting rabbits and turned it into dollar bills and X's in time. It's turned it into this rocky shirtless goat path for Leonidas, and what happens when the Persian roll in if you say momentum, right? P equals MV, and then in a one-dimensional line.
The traders, they don't trust this bullishness. They aren't waiting for Delta, the airline, to beat numbers.
So ups and
They're
downs.
waiting for Delta, the COVID variant, to beat
Windage.
us.
You want to talk about the air turbulence
Meanwhile, we
equation?
still got the semiconductor shortages
And
galore
you get
because
some
most of
brother
the
in there
world's
that says,
shipping
hey, I know wind
capacity is in
turbulence in
Southeast
here, and the
Asia,
rivets
and
on
the
those
whole
things, and
region's
it'll
being
shut
scarred by
down
COVID.
Boeing.
China's slowing too because their government insisted on using inferior homegrown vaccines. I think these issues are transitory, but they're enough to take down the automakers that
But it's
desperately
enough
need
for
the semis and
it
the
to
semi
take down,
shortage to be over.
you know, when we look at
So
this
we're
as a
out of
whole,
cars,
to some of the
important
biggest
engine
players in
economy.
the game.
Hey, by the way, we're out
Has
of
enough
homes,
to
so these
destabilize the
homes
system.
Can't build them fast enough for people to move.
It's like
in.
I
Not call it a
can't
problem, but a problem
I can't
nonetheless
work
because
with
housing
something
punches
when I
above
don't
its
know the
weight in the
ladder.
economy.
You know, the rungs.
It gets worse.
And you're going
The
to tell
fears
me
of a
it's
Delta
this
Force
distance
slowdown
and
has made
I
Wall
should be able to
Street deaf
blindfold
all
do it,
sorts
but
of good news.
no
Dow
rung.
Chemical reports
You know what I
what
mean?
may have been the best quarter in the history of Dow.
I'd tell you,
Unbelievable
hey,
amount of money.
go reach
But
higher.
when
Maybe
CEO Jim
that's what
Fitterling
that is.
talked to me about how the business is much better than previously thought. Well, he's ignored. Stock gets clubbed. Then a funny thing
That's what
happens.
being
Treasury yields tanked.
training on how to climb a 20-foot wall without a ladder when you need 3 people. One of them two of them to jump off, one of them's back, another one to get back inside here, jump up, grab the leg and hand to somebody to pull them up over. That is pretty fucking comprehensive to go around, use the gate, right? Let's talk about this one down here.
From demand destruction, and estimates could be
You know, because it doesn't need to be a damn. These are zeros and ones. They are, by margin, Drax equation going to come up in the cruise liners, come up in the airliners, come up in the farm, come up in the, well, I had numbers, they have systems, and now I don't know what those numbers are. I got somebody doing the systems inside here. Don't make a damn bit of sense.
The stag will inevitably be rectified in one of two ways. The good
It's your
way.
team.
The unvaccinated get freaked
Somebody
out
else
by
is
this
a
latest
goddamn
outbreak,
team.
see the surging case count and the rising death toll, so they get their shots. Or the bad way. The unvaccinated get COVID, and those who survive will have antibodies that make it much harder for them to get infected again. Given the incredibly contagious nature of the Delta variant, the bad way could happen a lot sooner than anyone
Well,
might
let's
expect.
see it in camera.
Next thing you know, we get
I'll be the case study. I'll jump in you want me to lick a fucking thing that's got the Delta variant on it and see how well a 30-year-old survives inside here instead of the horse shit? If I get sick, if I get so sick that I damn near die and need medical attention, then it's pretty clear. But we don't get any of that. We get some assholes out there saying, whatever, and I'm talking. Remember, these are superposition.
Because this was the snag that refreshed.
You're not
even
getting
as
any
it
of that.
scared the
It's what
heck out of
cameras
us.
are for. It's
So
what
let me give you the
science is
bottom
for.
line. All the
When
people who refuse to get
it's the
vaccinated,
thing when
they're a
people
major
refuse to
problem for our
believe
country. But
that
I'm betting they won't
a
do that
sensor,
much damage to the stock market.
50 cal,
Either the Delta outbreak
particle
causes them to get
experiment
religion and
turns
take
this
their
wave
medicine,
function and
or
turns
they
it
get
into a
infected.
particle, and they don't get what it
Now, I'd
means.
much
What
rather
do you
the
mean by that,
former
Jordan? It
than
means
the latter.
when you're watching
Either
this on
way,
the floor
we're one
under
step closer to
cameras,
the fable
it stops to
herd
be this
immunity.
fable or wave function
Don't miss a second
inside
of
here of
Mad Money.
superposition
Follow
where they could be
@JimKramer
to
on
exactly
Twitter.
what it
Have
was.
a question?
Exactly
Tweet
what
Kramer.
those things were.
Hashtag Mad
And
Tweets.
before you go running
Send
around
Jim an
starting
email
more
to
trouble in here,
madmoney
creating
at
a larger wave
cnbc.com.
function, why don't you watch
Or
it?
give
Why
us
don't
a
you
call
fucking do those
at
reviews?
1-800-743-CNBC.
Somebody's gonna quit, that's why we have those timelines. Somebody's gonna
Something?
bitch and fucking
Head to
cause problems, that's why we have those
madmoney.cnbc.com.
interrogations and interviews. You know, the truth of the matter is, I can't be blockchained to somebody who I don't work with on timelines who has a totally different price line and cost ratio to what it is they do comparatively to somebody who used to be in those systems and states, and then only in the review, in that particle slit experiment. There I would have used Leonard's numbers, respectfully. AR pause. Take a general out, put him in that field for what it does. And that's what those cameras are for, because, well, guy have a heart attack. I can't exactly ask him to keep up to the numbers he used to have when he's under a new regimen. But that's what those numbers were for when you compare them against this number and you say things about timelines and cost. But I can't do that because then they'll quit because it has something to do with, favoritism, has something to do with time bullshit inside here. When it's all about my product, it's all about my system, it's all about what this system is and whether it's more valuable or less valuable than what it was in there. And it's easy to fucking prove NP. Easy to look up, easy to check, easy to train off of to make sure that if those numbers want to be done, I can have a value on the trajectory, how much load needs to be in that spring, and what needs to be done. I'm not going to put up with that horse shit about, oh, you can't do that because some old schooler in here. No offense to the old schoolers, you know what I mean? I'm happy to live off your legacy as a damn general. Golden Brick Road to Shangri-La over here. About what those resumes are, what those applications look like, what those fucking max and average performance ratings look like inside here, which is off the table for right now comparatively to those numbers, because this is tracking it, right? This is the thing that collapses that wave function in the positive form instead of just listening to somebody say, oh, we can't do that. Oh, we'll dump money into tracking some damn black hole numbers of photons and time dilations of that Andromeda paradox. Are the aliens here or are the aliens not here? It has nothing to do with aliens, by the way, psychologist.